different run selections they were going to have, the expansion of their pass game in the second half of the season. So there were several different ways that the game could have gone, but the way it unfolded seemed to be very similar to the last one.
Well, obviously, you went to the finals in 2012. Is this your best team?
It has a chance to be, but I'm a big believer that I'll better be able to answer that in a couple of weeks, if that's the case. It is a few things I will say. I'm not going to say it's quite as athletic at our top spots as we were in 12. It's close. It's definitely deeper. And the two things that continued to stick out are the guys' acute focus on whatever their role is. So there's a lot of roles. You look at some guys' roles, and some guys' roles are, hey, I need you to carry the ball for 40 times a game, and he embraces that role. But there's a lot of other kids that don't sit at this press conference that their role is to be a backup scout team center. And whatever their role is, they embrace it. I will also say it is absolutely, and this is quantifiable, this is absolutely the healthiest team that we've ever had in 8 years. The healthiest team, physically and mentally well balanced, and hats off to Tommy Becker and the work that he does with our guys. What's up, Jesse? Good, you?
Good. Turnovers have been huge in this game, specifically the past couple of years. How big are this game, and what kind of impact do they have?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a leading question. You're right. I mean, they are huge, right? And if you look at the last 6 years, I believe whoever's won the turnover battles won the game. Now, we've been fortunate in some other years to be able to still win a game without winning the turnover battle, but we're now 58-1. We played almost, maybe Gene can help me out, we're probably close to about 100 games in our 8 years here. And we're 58-1 in games that we've won the turnover battle. So I'd say it's a pretty good predictor of success. Doesn't mean we can't win the game if we don't win the turnover battle, but if we do win the turnover battle, we're usually in pretty good shape, Jesse.
When you went on the field and Edward got hurt, did you think, well, maybe I should have put a backup in? At that point, the game was out of reach.
Spoken like someone who's not coaching on the sidelines, I guess, because it never feels out of reach until it hits zeros. We did have a 3-score lead. At that point, it was really mostly about ball security. I considered putting Tucker or Jack in, but I really felt like wanting to finish the game with the ball in our hands, it was best to put in Jordan. But hindsight's 20/20. Obviously, we could take that rep back, we would, but I can't. So a mistake by me, and but I am happy that we won the game. It's easy to say that now that we won, but you never know what's going to happen in a game. A ball gets loose, a scoop and score, and onside kick, and things are different. But happy that we won it in the fashion we did.
Is he okay? No issues? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Shoulder?
Yeah, it's a shoulder injury, same one I had earlier in the year. Should be all right.
I just asked him 5 minutes ago. I said, so next week? He goes, pfft, absolutely, I'm fine.
Yeah, absolutely. They had a great game plan. They loaded the box, and we had to be okay with getting 4- and 5-yard gains. And we just stuck with our game plan and kept running the ball, and turned out well for us. Yeah, I did. He's got some wheels.
Well, it was a good play call. It was called a quarterback run from the start, and the guys really did well blocking downfield. So it just opened up really well. I think the linebackers kind of flew out of there, and saw a lot of green. Yeah, and it was great blocking downfield, which made it a lot easier. Yeah.
Sometimes Johnny doesn't get credit for his open field running, maybe because of his stature or whatever it might be, and that's actually been a play that he now has 4 touchdowns on. He runs that play very well. So he's being humble, but he does it well.
So it wasn't QB draw, wasn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it was a draw. Yeah, it was a great catch. I knew I had to get it. There was a guy dropping underneath it, and I tried to get over his head or out of bounds even, and he just came down with it. That was awesome. He's always had great hands, so that was great to see.
What was the mentality of people wanting that out?
Well, he's a very good football player. I mean, they have 3 guys who are seniors. I don't know if you just talked to them all, but I mean, really good football players, very good people too, and that's important to understand. They had Nick Martin, Josh Bungham, who might be one of the top competitors that I've seen in this league in some time, and Sammy Sura. And so for any one of those guys to not be in the game and intricately involved in that game plan allows you to do a few other things, but it's not like they have one good player who got hurt. They had several good players. So it does allow you to adjust, but it doesn't allow you to go wholesale and just say, oh, no big deal, because you saw at the end, anybody can throw up a fade route when you got Josh Bungham because he's very athletic, very fast, very tough, wildly competitive. And it helped a little bit, but it in no way did it make us feel, oh, we have this. That's not exactly how it went.
I'd have to say the work that our defensive line does up front makes it really easy for our linebackers to, play fast and hard. And I mean, our defensive line is elite, and we do a lot of great things up there on the front. So with all our movement that's going on with our defense, it's just basically the same. When we met them the first time back in September, it was pretty much the same game plan, and we just played fast and tackled hard, tackled strong.
Yeah, I feel like anytime you go against a player of that magnitude, you have to really trust the people around you playing defense. And, everyone just really did their job really well. We were able to suffocate, any cutbacks or anything like that, and ran our feet when tackling and kind of eliminated a lot of the stuff that he does.
Jesse, did you guys ever in preseason practice play 1-versus-1, offense versus defense?
Well, 1v1's like
One defense versus one offense.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Who wins?
Depends on the day, I would say, but it's very competitive, believe me. It's a lot of fun.
Ridiculously competitive.
Speaking of competitive, Jordan, obviously these three guys have kind of got their taste of Tommy Johnny being for 4 years, 3 years. What can you say about the first two games you've been in the same season?
Oh, it's been incredible. Very electric. A lot of hype surrounding the game. Two great teams, two great coaching staffs, and great players. It's been a lot of fun, both games, and I've really enjoyed it.
Scored 3 touchdowns first half. That's pretty good block for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you like, Jordan, do you like 20 degrees or 75 degrees?
20 for sure. I'm from Wyoming, so yeah.
You beat them in different temperatures, I'd say.
Well, yeah, that's right. It was like 70 last time.
Coach, I know last week after the game you talked about how excited you were for this matchup again.
Yeah.
Was there anybody that was a little nervous at the same time, knowing the motivation they might have had, obviously, from the first result?
Yes. I mean, if you're not somewhat nervous, not nervous to the point where you can't do your job, but an appropriate level of anxiety, I think, is very important. But it was something, this is what you want. How can you not want this? This has been going on for 114 years. 2 really good schools with 2 really good football teams and 2 alumni bases that are tremendously proud of the product on the field. And first time that it ever happened, we're here. I mean, that's a blessing that you can't wish away. So it was pretty awesome, but I'll tell you what made me the most nervous. It's one thing to play your rival again. It's one thing to be in the second round of the playoffs, but I got a 10-year-old boy right there who has his birthday today. Happy birthday. And he has a huge list all year long of things he wants. He sees them on TV, he goes in the store and he writes down the list. And when the brackets came out, he turned to me and he said, "Hey, Dad, you know what I want for my birthday?" I said, "Yeah, I know what you want." He goes, "I want you to be St. John." So in all seriousness, I love you and happy birthday, sweetheart.
What do you know about Wabash?
I've been looking forward to hopefully playing them for some time. They're a team I respect a lot from afar. Eric Rayburn, Mount Union, Larry Karras' disciple, has done a great job there. They're very serious about their athletics. Very good academic institution, but very serious about their athletics. They've built that program, in my opinion, in a way very similar to the way that we've built ours. Physical toughness, mental toughness, run the football, play great defense. And again, when the brackets came out, what a blessing, because now they had to go to overtime. I just had a quick conversation with Coach Rayburn. They had to go to overtime to beat Thomas More. But both of those teams were teams that you always see. You know, when you're looking in the national landscape routinely year after year, we've been blessed enough to be in the top of that conversation, and so have they. And you always wonder what it's like to play them and how excited it would be. So I've never seen the film on them from this year, but I know they're a fantastic football team, physical and mental toughness.
He called your cell phone, or you called his?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Coach Rayburn?
I called Coach Rayburn
Okay.
and just congratulated him. But I've never had more than one conversation with him, but I've heard nothing but wonderful things about who he is and how he runs a program. And I think the product speaks for itself.
John, I guess, is it more satisfying to win a Tommy John game in the postseason?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's another week together as a family and football team. So yeah, I think it added to it a little bit that I was St. John's again, but playoff win's a playoff win. Everybody's pretty excited to get on to Wabash. Yeah.
Well, you knew about the rivalry when you came from McAllister, but was it, now that you've been in it for a number of years, was it what you imagined or so much deeper than that?
Certainly it's deeper than I knew because I didn't know it intimately. What I will say is I think the rivalry has taken on almost a life of its own in the 8 years that I've been able to see it from being the head coach here. When we got here, Coach Fritz can probably help out, but crowds were probably, I don't know, Coach, 6,000, 7,000. Now they grow into the teens and upper teens of thousands, and I think that's a credit to both institutions, and not both football programs. Again, both institutions and the pride that they have and their alumni have in it. And let's be honest, it's ridiculously competitive, right? So you got two really good teams. I don't know what the actual rankings were, but you're talking about two top 5 or top 8 teams that just met in round 2 of the playoffs. And let me also take a moment to, it's one thing to sit in here and after a win and feel good about what you did, but we also have to credit St. John's. I mean, the team that they've put together is impeccable. Gary Fashion is a great man and runs a wonderful football program. And although I think a lot of people want to draw lines of demarcation on how our two programs are different for whatever reason, I think if you took the time to look at it, you would realize that both programs are very, very similar. And hats off to them and the season that they had this year, because it was impressive.
More emotional than the Book of Knowledge, then?
Yes, more emotional than the Book of Knowledge for sure. I'm an emotional guy, you know that, Pat, but we're not a big trophy. I mean, I know we got the Holy Grail, and that's wonderful. We're not a big stuff program, trophies, whatever it might be. But when you think about what makes me proudest is that in the biggest of games, our best players play their best. And they've been able to mitigate anxiety better than most teams. They've been able to focus acutely on what their responsibility is. And I love what Moses said. Moses said when you play a guy like that, or when you play a good team, to paraphrase, you got to trust each other. One guy is not going to beat the other team for either side. And this team's trust and belief in one another is the best I've ever seen in 20 years of coaching college football.
Coaches give you a little extra confidence, I guess, as you move forward in this thing after seeing, this being 2 top 8 teams in the country to play them the way you just did.
We really try not to allow scoreboards to dictate our confidence. And I don't want to sound trite, but where we draw confidence from is how well we play. When we got here, I told the team, and we were taking over a program that was pretty rough. It was 2-8. And I told the team that first year, I said, guys, right now, winning and success are not exactly synonymous. There will be a point in time where they are, but they're not. And we grew because we tried to be good versions of us. So does the win give us confidence? No. Does how well we played give us confidence? I believe so. It's a great question, by the way. Rover, anything?
I'm good.
You good? Guys, thank you. Well, these guys will be around if you need them for anything, but just the simple fact that we got like 10 media outlets here is really awesome. So thank you so much for taking the time to come out to St. Thomas. Appreciate it.